Remember the game corner in Celadon City? I feel like this was such a bizarre inclusion from Game Freak for their take on Baby's first RPG. Like, I know that there's lots of things that get lost in translation when they make the swim over to America, but even still, I can't help but be a little taken back by the casino simulator hidden inside the first video game that graced our household. And before you start going on about my American sensitivity, these games were actually changed in the Korean version of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, as well as I believe some European ports, so I'm not the only one. Most of the time, when people are talking about gambling mechanics in games these days, they're talking about gacha systems and loot boxes. But I have all too fond memories of sitting in the school bus while trying to time the slot machines just right to hit the jackpot. Looking back, I really do wonder why these slots were added to the game, and just how it made the cut to the final product. Oftentimes, developers will utilize in-world minigames to reinforce mechanical themes from the game, and give players a chance to hone their skills in a manner that doesn't cause a drain on the player's resources. The shooting gallery in Resident Evil 4, of which I've done a whole video on, gives players a stress-free environment to practice their shot placement and arena management without depleting the player's precious ammo. Games like Horseback Archery and Ocarina of Time teach and train the player in a mechanism they might otherwise have missed. After completing the track to satisfaction, they will have gained a new weapon in their arsenal. And of course, there's that minigame in God of War, which gives players a chance to practice their QuickTime events, which was largely a new mechanism introduced in God of War and core to the experience. The slots and other gaming machines scattered across Pokemon's many regions fit a decidedly different design niche. These little games of luck are primarily used to enhance the world building of Pokemon. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll learn just how much these casino games are rigged. To use the slots in the first place, you must acquire a coin case. Why you need a special case to hold your casino tokens when you have a perfectly good backpack is beyond me. But I'm not especially well versed in casino etiquette. So maybe rifling through your potions, CDs, and everlasting gobstoppers every time you spin the one-armed bandit would be considered a bit of a faux pas. Of course, you can't actually buy a coin case from the casino. That would make too much sense. The casino doesn't want you coming here. Maybe we'll find out why later. Instead, you have to go into a restaurant at the bottom of Celadon City and shake down the flat-out broke gambler for his. When you're at rock bottom, the only way is out. Let's not dwell on the morals of a man, taken down to one of the lowest points of his life, panning off his addiction onto an impressionable youth who's just stepped out into the real world. Now that you're able to sit down, the good times are about to roll. In the Celadon slots of Gen 1, you don't have a lot of options. Besides comparing and contrasting different machines for their supposed luck, which in Fire Red and Leaf Green is kind of an actual thing, your options are slots, slots, and more slots. Once you start playing, you choose between 1, 2, and 3 coins. Each additional payment unlocks a new avenue to score. If you pay 1 coin, you only gain prizes that are in the 3 center spaces. 2 coins give you the top and bottom rows, and 3 coins give you access to the diagonals. Obviously, you're jamming 3 every time, no questions. But I do want to say I'm still bitter about that one time as a kid when I was testing out the ones, only to have bar 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 appear in the top row just outside of my grasp. Each version of the game, red, blue, green, and yellow, have different icons. And not just the Pokemon are different either. The shapes of the sevens, the cherries, and everything else is just slightly different between the versions. The payouts, however, are identical. The cherries land the player a cool 8 coins. Sets of Pokemon earn 15 each, but the real prize is the bar and the sevens. Each set of bars gives a payout of 100 coins, and each set of sevens gives a whopping 300. One of the coolest things the game does is let you stop each column yourself, inserting about as much skill as those spinny flashy lights machines at Chuck E. Cheese's. I always assumed this was just how slots worked as a kid. It actually blew my mind when I learned that real life slots didn't give you that much control over the machine. I also want to say that I think this kind of reinforced my superstition as a kid that pressing the B button at exactly the moment the Pokeball opened up would increase the chance that the Pokemon was caught. I don't still do this, I swear. If we move generations and fly from Celadon to Goldenrod, in addition to suddenly finding out there's 100 new species of Pokemon that will often ambush anyone and everyone who's just going for a walk, they've added a new casino game, the card flip game. which is exclusively found in the Gen 2 games, has players bet on a single space or column. It's basically roulette, but instead of a ball and a wheel, the payout is determined by a deck of cards. So once a space is called, it is removed from the deck and thus will not be called again until the game resets. Of course, one card is also burned every time a card is revealed from the deck. So as you're making bets, it's possible that the thing that you're betting on is also removed from the game. The payout, however, stays the same, which is pretty wild. The slots in Goldenrod have also been guzzied up as well. Most notably, if you spend 2 7s in a row but miss the third, the display will start chucking golems at the screen, giving you a second chance to hit a jackpot. There's also a few other little fun, spicy minigames that'll enhance the experience that you have, including a rare chance to have a Chansey throw an egg bomb at the third space, guaranteeing that you hit your jackpot. I gotta level with you. I do not gamble. Even rolling the gacha systems in those free-to-play waifu games, using the free drop currency, kinda feels wretched to me. For as much as I play Magic, I don't crack packs without saving them for a draft, and as soon as money is added to a poker table, for some reason I lose interest. When it comes to Pokemon games, however, I cannot stop once I start playing the slots. All of the Skinner box hallmarks are in full force. There's a real sense of, I was so close to that payout, and one more spin. But here's the thing about these casino games. These games are rigged. Once Game Freak had a chance to revisit the Game Corner, their edits injected more exciting moments that prolonged the time you spent about to hit your biggest jackpot, and a roulette game that gives you insane odds that will increase with each play. Let's take a look at a standard casino game of roulette. A European roulette wheel has a house edge of 2.70. The house edge is the amount that the casino can expect to win in the big picture. Essentially, for every $100 you put on the table, you will lose $2.70. The house always wins, yes, but slowly by bleeding its players dry, $2.70 at a time. Blackjack is generally agreed on to be the game with the lowest house edge. It has a house edge as high as 2% and as low as 0.5%. A card counter at the top of his game can beat the house by swinging the odds in his favor at a whopping 2% player edge. The player edge for the card flip game in Goldenrod City is 34.55%. That means for every 100 coins that you bet on the card flip game, you can expect to make 34.55 coins back. If you're looking at the perspective of a casino, that's pretty deep into the we're declaring bankruptcy odds. By the way, if you're still playing gold and silver, the best thing you can do is pick a single space and write it to victory. Don't choose the columns, those odds aren't as strong. The slots aren't that far off from these odds either. While it's hard to calculate them because of the dexterity challenge of stopping the wheels individually, I recently played the slots until I hit 3,000 coins. It took me about 45 minutes. I landed 777s 8 times and I hit bar once. And I hit the lesser payouts over 100 times. The coolest thing about Pokemon's Playground for Grown-Ups is that Game Freak took the chance to make a version of these slots that focuses on player retention rather than draining your wallet. And I believe the biggest reason it lands so well is how the game uses it as a set piece to sell the concept of Pokemon as a lived-in space. Your entry into the world of Pokegambling begins with a cautionary tale of what happens to the compulsive gambler. Now, how that gambler lost all of his money in a casino with a 34.55% player edge is beyond me, but it stands as a cautionary tale nonetheless. It's a pretty masterful stroke for them to put this van outside of the game corner, in a restaurant around the corner. Not only does it sell Celadon City as an ecosystem rather than a set of disjointed buildings, but it also demonstrates to the player the far-reaching consequences that each place of business has on its citizens. In a game like Gen 1 Pokemon, where there's a lot of blank spaces and limited memory that constrains the amount of things they can add, every little placement, everything somebody says, tends to be important to the game design overall. And the game corner as a whole keeps up this devotion to its narrative themes. Its denizens will share scoops on lucky machines, bad upbeat stories, and their love of gambling. Even though visually there isn't a whole lot to work with, you get a sense of just how dirty the joint is as you go around the room and check the ground for loose coins. And of course, the poster that unveils not only a hidden staircase, but also the shady mobsters that actually run the place is such a beautiful mask-off moment. A lot of JRPGs are filled with fun, quirky minigames that flesh out their worlds and inject variety into the gameplay. There's a lot we can learn from looking at these, breaking them down, and contextualizing them in their space. I've always liked how Pokemon keeps the casinos in most of their games, but there is much more that Pokemon has to offer in the way of its in-universe minigames. I'm excited to delve deep into this franchise into the future. If you liked this video, please throw me a like and subscribe to the channel. You may have noticed that there is a 2-year gap in between posting my videos. I'm going to try to get back to posting regularly, so if you'd like to see more videos analyzing the games within games, I'd love that feedback. I'd also love to hear if there are any other types of videos you'd like to see. Thank you so much. Until next time.